Hello and good evening. Hmm. Interesting. Good evening. I am your storyteller, Michael Diamond. My pronouns are he, him. And we're back with another episode of Stealing Immortality. So, as always, before we get started, one thing that I would like to do is ensure that chat can hear me and they can hear, hopefully, all of our wonderful ghoulies. Um, Tonight's going to be pretty special. It is a sort of unannounced penultimate episode of the first season of Stealing Immortality. And so for the second to last time, we'll go through introductions. But before we do, I want to remind you that this is a game set in the world of darkness. It is a game meant for mature audiences. It is a game which can contain violence and gore and very strong language and sometimes daddy issues, potentially loss of agency, all sorts of things that it can potentially involve. And so we ask that ye take care while listening and watching and interacting. We love having all of you here with us to assist in this storytelling way. And so now I'm going to get out of the way and I am going to let my cast introduce themselves. So please take it away. It's a ship, technically. It's not a boat. There's no flippy floppies either. Let's just not. We're going to cut that right off at the knees. None of that. And next to Genevieve or Maria. Hmm. Oh, why don't you go ahead and just try now?
Hello, TV land. Can you hear me?
I bet that'll do it. I bet. Okay.
You want me to talk louder?
No, don't
I
talk
can.
louder. No, no,
Oh, okay.
don't talk louder.
Bramble says I'm quiet.
Well, I'll adjust you on the mix in back here in stream so that way people can hear you a little better.
All right. So hi again, dude. I even had the like position right this time. Like I didn't wasn't like am I first? And here we are.
You'll get it
Okay.
perfect on the last episode of the season, hon. Don't worry,
Maybe.
it's fine.
Okay. Maybe. Why start now? Okay. Hi. I'm Morgan. I play Marie, otherwise known as Genevieve de Montfort of Clan La Sombra. And yeah, I'm an Old Ways podcast cast member, and you can find me on a variety of shows. And you can also find me on the Discord server, hanging around and chatting about all sorts of shit. So again, we're on a boat, but we're not on a boat. We're on a ship, and I can't talk about my flippy floppies and all that, blah, 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 blah. So, yes, onward and upward, or on the sea.
Yeah, sure. And next to Genevieve.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bunny. I play the Toreador vampire Emerenzia. Our pronouns are she, her. And I'm also obviously a member of the wonderful Old Ways cast here and in our mage game and in Silver Streams, which is coming up so very soon. I could stream myself. I'm sure I will at least once. I also am a full time Twitch streamer, and I'm in chat right now, and I'm in the Discord too. All is fiery ashes, so come hang out. I don't bite unless asked. Promise.
Promise. And last but most certainly not least.
Hi, I'm Allie, and I play Ophelia Solos. And you can find me on such shows as Delta Green and Mage the Awakening or the Old Ways podcast. And over on the server, I hang out in all kinds of channels in there, and I'm also in chat tonight. So happy
Indeed.
to have you all here.
Indeed. So before we get completely kicked off, there's one thing I want to mention. I put it in the top of the show. And so throughout the show and probably the rest of the night, I'm going to use this little command here, and it's called Make Your Mark. And so what this is in June, the show is going to be raising money to fight to help end lupus through a virtual 6 miles in 6 days challenge. It's something that we're stepping up to plate to do. We've got some cast members who are going to help us as well. Um, you don't have to run. You can walk, you can jog. And if you're able, or you know someone who might be able, if they want to join our team, all they got to do is sign up and help us fight lupus. So the show has decided that this is the best thing for it to do. Something that we can do to help something that is truly difficult to deal with. I'm certain that Fiery knows probably off the top of her head, having done a massive stream during GoTel last week. Uh, if you would give us the benefit of your knowledge for lupus as far as the statistics and just some of the difficulties when it comes to fighting lupus.
Sure. So, lupus is an autoimmune disease that can fight any part of your body, whether it's your joints, your skin, your brain, your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, especially a common. Um, it affects at least 1.5 million people in America and at least 5 million people globally. But to put that a little bit more into perspective, one in every 537 young Black women have lupus. It is one of the top 10 causes of death for most women under the age of 50 who are Black or Hispanic, especially young women, like in their teens and early 20s. 90% of people with lupus are women, though it can affect any age, any gender. If you have, um, it's really tricky because there's no specific test for lupus. That's one of the biggest problems. And one of the reasons why funding for research is so important is because there's no specific way to test for lupus, and there's only 3 treatments for it so far, and most of them are repurposed cancer treatments to suppress your to suppress your immune system to treat your symptoms rather than to actually help with the lupus itself. Um, so funding for research is so important because it can take an average after your symptoms are noticeable. It can take an average of 6 years to get a diagnosis, um, which is such a long time. It's so expensive. Out of pocket costs, as well as diminished work opportunity costs for lupus patients, can cost somewhere between $20,000 and $63,000 a year just trying to survive. Um, and the Lupus Foundation of America, the wonderful organization that Mike has decided to help with this event, they not only in America but globally help with research, with providing grants to young scientists, to helping lupus patients get access to treatment, as well as information getting to their friends and loved ones. Um, they're really an incredible organization. I could go on all night, but Mike should probably cut me off at some point. But those, I think, are the main statistics about lupus and the organization that I feel are the most relevant to what you just. But yeah, the LFA is incredible. I have a bunch of resources for anybody who's curious about more. I did just stream 47 hours over last weekend to raise money for it. But I also am a moderator for the Lupus Foundation of America for their Discord all year round since the early 2020. And so I can provide a lot of info. Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks, Mike, for doing this.
Yeah, you bet. It is. It's that to me. It is the essence of the Spider-Man tagline, which is great power, great responsibility. And while we don't think that our power is necessarily great, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we are able, and so we should. That's sort of the maxim, which I think that we can do. So it is something we can do. It's the same thing that I talked about a little bit Tuesday on stream when I was doing world building. But the essence of it is it's well within what the show does to help fight for causes that we believe in. So we'll just keep doing that because we need to do our part. Okay. So thanks. I appreciate that very much. The assistance, the information, and then you can follow that. Anytime you see the Make Your Mark, it'll come up a couple of times during stream. As if you want to jump over there and join the team, I'd love to have you. Be cool. I know that there's at least one of our Ghoulies who's a member of our team, and hopefully we'll have more team members throughout before we get to that mark. All right. Yes,
Can I add one last thing?
you
It's just the
certainly
last,
can.
promise. So since your team, for example, because I can contextualize this, your team has already raised $108.
Yes.
The Lupus Foundation uses $100 worth of donations to provide expert peer-reviewed materials for community education efforts. So that's what you've done so far is fund a community education uh, program of theirs, as well as provided the materials needed to operate. That's how much you've already raised.
Awesome. Thanks for the context. I appreciate that. That's good for folks to be able to understand like what it actually means, right? I think it's easy to give to charity when you can, but it's sometimes nebulous as far as what's actually happening with your dollars. So it's the transparency is super important. Speaking of transparency, I would like all of my ghoulies to remove a point of blood as they will have slept. And your travel as we raise the sail and sail out into the sea uh, goes through a few different sections. So the ship is something that was acquired when it comes to the last episode. So last episode, for those of you who maybe didn't stick around or haven't gotten caught up yet, the Ghoulies assisted with a very eloquent and somewhat haughty pirate captain Gangrel Tia, who needed her ship broken out and her crew broken out, and the group successfully did that, and they have now cast off and are now in the beauty of the Mediterranean. So the ship itself, just to acquaint ourselves with its construction, is the crew operates what is a droman. So dromans in the era are fast and versatile, inspired warships. They're used in the Mediterranean an awful lot during the 12th century. Um, but those of you who work in the trade or who have masters or sires who worked in that, and that would be certainly Emerenzia and certainly Ophelia, and probably, and for that matter, Maria or Genevieve, given travel, these are sort of perfect for what a pirate captain and crew would use. They are well put together, speed and maneuverability far faster than some of the other ships, the bigger sort of galleons that might be of the era or massive trading ships. So it's about 30, maybe 35 or so meters long. It has a combination of two sails and then oars, about 25 per side. They're single manned. The sails provide speed, obviously, when there's favorable winds. The oars are mostly used when it comes to doing, we wouldn't say combat maneuvers, but when they need to get a little bit more fine control over what they need. So below deck is where you spend the first part of the journey, at least until you get underway. So the crew is maybe about 20, 25 people. But realistically, there's probably about less than a handful of crewmen that you interact with. The first person that is really like in your like direct vicinity is a gentleman by the name of Mateo. And it's fairly clear that Mateo is from Spain. So he is probably a man in his mid 20s. He's relatively tanned skin, dark hair, slight beard, long. That hair is probably long, probably down to his shoulders. He wears an open chested tunic and like a leather baldric that carries his sword. He has big, sort of flowing pantaloons and boots. He has a little pizzazz to him, and he smells like the sea and probably wine. But he's a quite dashing fellow. He's helped you get into the secure quarters. So there are two rooms here beneath deck that are separated out from the rest of the crew. There's the captain's quarters, which Tia is relaxing, she says, in. And then there's this other segmented room. It looks like at one point it was used for uh, probably carrying treasure or things. There's a lock on this door, but the finery has been sort of moved away, and there's just, I guess, what could be considered a small bed, and then maybe a dresser that's like pushed against the wall, and you can see that it's been nailed into place so it doesn't move. Um, Obviously, it's a little damp in here, probably a little bit more than you're used to, given all the stone that you were around. But the ship gets underway, and you hear an awful lot of noise above: boots, yelling, hooting, and hollering. And there's a myriad of languages. You're going to hear Greek and French and Italian and Spanish and probably some English. You hear a lot of Greek overhead. So, for those of you who speak Greek, one of the loudest voices on the ship is probably a slight and I don't want to say falsetto voice, but it's a very high pitched voice, and it's a boy who sits in what you think is probably the lookout space, and he can't be more than like 14 years old, and he's like screaming about move here and move here because they're having to go around Constantinople. So from where you were moored in the harbor, you have to go all the way around and then get out to the Mediterranean. And so it takes a little bit of doing. And so I wonder, we can just go person by person, but like as you get into this space, this space is not anything more than say like maybe 9 by 14. It is not very big. There's going to be the three of you and all of your stuff that you have with you. As the ship moves along through the water, what are the three of you doing? What are you reacting to? Is there a conversation that burbles up between the three of you about anything particular?
I'll probably be. Are there any like hammocks, or is it just like flour sacks, or what's there to sit on?
Yeah, there's some. I'd say there are probably sacks of something, either some type of grain or perhaps something else. There's something you can sit on for sure. There's probably a chair that is built into like the wall next to the bed. It might also be like there might be a chamber pot underneath it. You think that slides around a little bit though. Not that the three of you have to worry about any of that anymore. One of the benefits of being a vampire is that you don't really process food anymore.
Go then. That's a logistical question.
Um,
I'm
I-
gonna.
And
answer.
actually, no. Something else that the three of you would probably realize by now, although we don't have to bring up the gory details. But the three of you don't cycle anymore. That's over.
Amen. Yes.
Sign me up.
Yeah. Make me a vampire.
That means none of the symptoms or the effects of said things happen to you at all anymore.
That's fantastic. We love that.
See, and you thought game was going to be boring. No,
I
I'm
know.
kidding.
I want to be a vampire in real life. Yeah, so I would probably make myself comfortable on one of the sacks of something, and whether it be flour or grain or something else, and read the book that the bishop gave me
Ooh,
and
okay.
start thumbing through that.
Begin separating you have to like unbuckle it, and because of course it's the book from the bishop, there are like leather buckles to it and no reason, but that's just sort of the way that he probably works. Okay, you start reading about the story of the clan, like where things come from and how the clan operates. It's less an immediate history book and more about, it seems to be about sort of fostering a mentality about what Clan Lasombra believes in and why those beliefs are important and what they believe their connection to Cain gives them the power to do. The broad brushstrokes really for the first like few pages as you dive into it are the Clan Lasombra has a connection to an intimate amount of darkness, and that connection is unlike anything else the clan has. They tend to believe that they create the deepest shadows, and not just on a visual level, but like a spiritual level, and that the grace therein that was plucked from Cain, that God shunned him at some point, branded him. That it's something that when Cain sought safety in the shadow, that's where you originate from. And so they feel entitled. That's really easy to see in the first few pages. In fact, that feeling scores a absolute direct hit on you. You understand the feeling. Oh yeah, well of course we are. You nod along probably with a lot of the paragraphs that you can tell it's the bishop's writing, and you can tell that like there's a reason why they foster a relationship with the church, because they believe that the church is a vehicle for them, and that power on earth comes from the people who willingly hand it over to the ecclesiastical structure of the day. And so why wouldn't our natural home be within the church? That's where the power is going to be anyway. It's not like the common person can truly read. They go to the clergy to read. They don't read at all. In fact, the clergy tell them what to think. So of course we want to be there. Like a lot of this stuff makes a lot of sense. Okay, so you're reading. That's fun. And Lorenzo, what are you up to?
I am, unless one of the other former ghoulies talks to me about anything, I'm probably going to be working on sea shanties and practicing on my new harp, since it's not my old familiar one, it's a new one. I've got to get a feel for my new instrument, and just preparing to lead the work for the crew as I promised Thea that I would do. So that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm just going to be working on songs and familiarizing myself with like playing instruments on a ship like this again and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, not your first time on a ship, certainly. This harp is a little different, and so it will take you a little time to adjust. You believed it was in tune, or at least close, but with a harp, obviously, that is a constant process. It is something which you have to do fairly regularly to ensure. And you have the tools that you would need and the experience, given your skills, to prepare it, and you can get a few really wonderful tones out of it. And so as you toy with it a bit and play back and forth to get familiar with it, I am certain that the rest of the ghoulies would hear you doing that. There's really no way to do it quietly.
Yeah. The other thing is that salt water can affect instrument strings, so the harp's probably going to be a high maintenance, even more than usual on a ship. But
wait a minute, Toreador high maintenance? I don't believe you.
High maintenance is fuck baby. That's my whole personality, but also all of my tools,
right?
Unfortunately, so yeah, I'm definitely going to be just working on my musical stylings for this crew, since that's my new job now, and that feels right. So
okay, Ophelia.
Oh, I'm probably just like sitting or laying on the floor and like disassociating for a little while because one, I'm fucking starving. And two, I still feel like I've been abandoned and I'm depressed and everything else.
Yeah.
So really until we're like summoned to like do stuff, I am probably just gonna be like I'm not like completely broken down like I was last episode, but I am still just kind of like not really mentally present because I'm like still at home with my master and everything else, and I'm trying not to remember that I'm on a boat, God knows how far away, and everything else. So
There's a as you disassociate, and there is a soft knock at the door. You hear a feminine voice say, "Excuse me, do you have a moment?"
I'll get up and pull the door open.
You get up and pull the door open, and you see a woman standing outside the door. She is dressed in a dark brown shirt and breeches, black boots, and she has a black butcher's apron on. It is relatively clean. She has blonde hair, cut super short, and it looks like a haircut that you may have seen like long ago, maybe especially you, Genevieve, like out in the the more militaristic um, spaces where ladies would just take w- knives and cut their hair short so they could fit them in helmets and things like that. Um, she has a sort of slight nose and a reasonably, I wouldn't say pale complexion, but she's not nearly as tan as some of the other sailors are. And she looks to you, Ophelia, and says, "May I come in?"
Sure.
She steps in and then shuts the door, and you see her sort of move this wooden bar. It's a short little stubby wooden bar in front of the door so that it can't be pushed open. It also helps it so that way when the ship moves back and forth, it doesn't just pop open. You see at her right side, she has what looks like a chef's knife in like a wood block holster. And she's currently what looks like drying her hands like on a towel that goes on her apron. My name is Bella. I am the ship's surgeon.
She say surgeon.
She did say surgeon. I'm interested to know if any of you have any, if you're carrying anything I need to know about. Pustules, boils, bruises.
No.
You understand the crew is susceptible.
Yes.
Don't worry, we're clean.
She gives you a look like she doesn't believe you. Every
She wanna
sailor,
check me out.
every sailor on this ship says this to me. Oh, I'm clean. Bella, I'm fine. No, nothing itches today. Lies. All of them. They lied to me. They lied to you.
Would you like me to strip down so you can investigate?
She turns sort of like matter of factly to you and she says, "Yes, Will all ladies here?
I'll let her investigate my body. That's not a big deal. She's looking to see if I'm going to infect the crew with something. I'm
She
totally fine with that.
she turns and with her hand sort of like looks you over. She ends up lighting a very small corner candle that's there,
Okay.
and she brings you closer to it. And if you didn't know it any better, you don't remember being that um, uncomfortable when it comes to flame. But the idea that there is like open flame in this small space, you begin to get mentally fraught. I'd like you to roll courage for me.
Okay. I have 3 dice for courage.
So for those of you playing at home, open flame and vampires don't mix.
Nope, they sure don't. Is my target number 6 or 7? I can't remember.
Normally it would be
7?
Normally it would be 7.
Okay, 2.
Okay. You stave it off for a moment. You can feel it. She almost turns you around like a piece of meat. So now that you're facing the flame and she's looking over the front of your body and goes through and just does a relatively reasonable inspection on you. She doesn't actually touch you other than your shoulders. Fine. She sort of passes you off like you're the
Piece
next
of meat.
the next thing for the butcher's table.
Yeah.
What's next?
While she was being inspected, I'll have just like undone my dress and let it like fall around me while I'm still like working on my harp for now. And when she says who's next, I'll just go, if I need to move, just tell me. And I'll go back to cleaning my art in the meantime.
She reaches out and grabs the candle from the little holder that it's on, and she moves and like brings it over towards you. And there is something about her. Maybe it's her eyes. Maybe it's the way that you can see the color of her sort of emerald eyes behind this candle. But there's something very captivating about that. It's not that um, she's certainly no Dama, but she's not drop dead gorgeous by any means. But there's an intensity there, like she seeks knowledge, and she's like gestures with her hand, and she says, "Stand up."
Okay. I'll put my harp down nice and far away from the candle and I'll stand up for her.
Mm-hmm. She gets close to you and she says, you hear her like inhale through her nose. I took an expensive bath recently.
That's my favorite kind of bath.
We don't have many out here on the water.
Well, it's something to look even more forward to anytime we hit a port then, for long enough to bath.
I can only imagine that you'll be a favorite of the crew.
One can only hope.
She turns to you, Genevieve.
I slap my book closed. With a mighty thud. I stand up and unbutton my tunic shirt
Mhm.
and yank down my breeches.
Yep. She gives you a look over as well. After she's done with her inspection, she steps back towards the door and she says, I don't like games and I don't like lies. And so I won't start with one. I know what you are.
3 women on a ship?
That's only half the story. I know that you'll be down here during the day. I know that you'll likely only adventure out in the night. I understand the captain's needs and I can understand her desire to bring you here, but you'll have to understand that I won't have you feed on the crew. She sort of
Oh, of
looks
course
around
not.
like a wily, like she's ready for something to go bad.
Here's the thing. I don't think any of us plan to feed on or hurt any of the crew. Thea has been nice enough, or excuse me, the captain has been nice enough to allow us passage, to let us be treated as part of the crew ourselves for the time being. Um, since we helped your ship leave harbor and all of your crew make it back on board, we are granted passage. I don't usually feel comfortable speaking for my fellows, but I feel like we all are on the same page that your crew is safe among us. We will need to feed at some point, obviously, but I assume that there's a system for that with your captain also, of a stop at a port, a volunteer ghoul who's very pleased with this situation, something of a retainer somewhere. But we don't just plan on seeing a napping, first mate or something and go, that looks like a midnight snack. Now, mind you, if we spend time with the crew, that's different, but we're not going to swoop in and feed on anyone willy nilly.
I've heard of this thing before. The captain, she has her own desires. And sometimes she picks up someone in port, another one of her fellows. They travel around for a while. They have fun. They come back to the ship with all of their riches. And then suddenly someone gets caught up in the moment. We've lost crew before.
My condolences.
I can provide you fish.
I haven't fed off fish, so sure, we can try that. All right.
Besides, it'll actually appear a little more plausible. You have to understand that not all of the crew understands what you are.
Sure.
They're plied with wine and plunder, fun. But only a few of them know the truth. Mateo, myself. And unfortunately, I think our lookout is becoming aware of what is going on.
Hmm. Would it not be better to intentionally loop him in at that point than let him figure it out and possibly panic?
Perhaps, but that's the captain's call, not mine.
That's fair.
I will bring you a selection of fish to assist with your needs. Other than that, that's all I have need to.
So is fish like a different term for something else?
She
No, I
cocks her head.
absolutely think that she means that she's going to bring us raw fish from the sea that we are traveling upon, uh, for us to uh, experiment with.
I know it might seem strange, but fish, like any other animal, has blood in it.
Hmm.
The captain has made a life out here on the sea. She feeds off of fish regularly. She's actually quite an adept swimmer.
Okay. I go back to my book after I like pull up my breeches and button up my shirt.
After you're all three of you are reasonably socially decent, although that's just the visual, not auditory. We all know that y'all ain't decent. She will take her leave of you, and after a little while, a tray, nay, a small basket of fish will be delivered to the room. Some of them are pretty fresh, like floppy fresh.
I'll try feeding from a fish.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. It's interesting and different. The blood temperature is the first thing that is different. So imagine every day you wake up and you have a hot cup of coffee, and that is your mainstay. Not for the caffeine intake, but obviously because that is what you drink. It's or tea. That's what you've always had. And then one day, someone sticks an iced coffee in front of you, and you've never had it. And so there is some texture differences. Also, you sort of all have to constantly adjust where you're biting the fish at because of where the blood is in the fish. And so there are some likely hilarious scenes of the three of you biting into fish, maybe with like one fang, maybe with two. Yeah. It's something we certainly would leave in the outtake reel. But they are able to provide you with enough fish for you to regain 2 blood points, but you also basically ruin about 15 to 20 fish.
Because we're not adept at drinking from fish yet.
No, and you ruin the meat because basically you rip it apart to get to the blood, or like
Yeah.
it shrivels up a little bit, and then you have a porthole here, so you get told essentially to dump the waste, so that way it doesn't look like it's a bunch of weird shriveled fish that. But you get a gift soon after that as you are traveling, and that gift is a fresh night to exist. Sleeping in here is cramped, but the three of you, I assume, will work it out unless y'all really want to fight over where you're going to rest your head.
Not really. I mean,
No.
if I don't find my sleeping arrangement comfortable enough and there's room for a second person, I'll just ask one of these two or Pirate Queen Thea if I if they mind some company for a night. If
It sounds like Thea has company. You can hear that from here.
good
You're
for her.
you're very
And
close.
Then I'll probably be fine with whatever arrangements.
You can snuggle with me on the grain bags. We can spoon it.
Yep. Yeah, I trust that the three of you will figure it out. But I'm happy to prolong that if you would like. I don't want to run over your scene.
I mean, Ophelia, like I'd be the ice cream sandwich.
That's quite the sandwich.
Have a nice short girl both in front of you and behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. See, some people get comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And you are a pile of flesh in the bed for a few hours.
Sounds like a good time.
I'm just going to assume that you lock the door.
Well, yeah.
We're just 3 girls.
Yes, on a pirate ship full
Hmm.
of mostly men
We're just 3
It's-
girls who could take out someone's jugular if we had to.
who would also have
That is
to
also true.
would also have to try to rise and wake and act during the day, which is way harder than it sounds.
No, I know. We
I'm thinking more like you might not want someone stumbling in here, but maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe that's the plan the whole time.
Not every day. Just when we're bored.
So we have ads coming in about a minute or so that I see. And so I don't want to shift to a new scene and then have it interrupted by ads. So ads are part of our story, unfortunately, for about an hour. Every hour we gotta deal with them. What we'll do, we won't advance the story, but those of you who are subscribed to the channel will hang out and we can talk about other things. We won't advance the story or plot, so that those of you who are not subscribed won't miss anything. And this is a fantastic time for you to do self-care and for you to work on whatever it is that you need to work on while we are in ad land. And if you're not already, you can totally check us out over on Blue Sky and our YouTube channel if you're not connected with us there. We do have merch. I know we don't talk about it a lot, but it is there. And then, of course, the Discord channel. Come raise hell in the television and movie section with Morgan. It is absolutely her place. Okay, so we will be back shortly. Alrighty, we are in ads. We should be, as far as I see. So, yeah, fun times. Oh, Bondsman. No, I have not watched Bondsman on
it's so
Prime. Is it
good.
good?
It is so good. Kevin Bacon, fucking phenomenal. I have to go tell Josie to go get in the shower.
Okay, yeah, no, that's good.
Not that they don't know, but yeah, I'll be right back.
Okay.
30 seconds.
Okay. Poof, and they're gone. What
I
else?
have been watching Mobland.
Mobland, huh?
It is wicked good.
You sound very Bostonian saying that.
We get Pierce Brosnan's original accent.
Oh, okay. As opposed to his fake one?
Well, yeah. He had to especially when he played Bond, he had to clean it up a lot to sound more suave and smooth, and he sounds rough and tumble, like he could lead a mob.
Yeah, James Bond
In this
James Bond would speak RP. He would speak received pronunciation.
Absolutely.
Straight out of the BBC.
It's so good. It's very violent. I will say that it is.
It's good
very
because it's violent, or
oh no, it's good because all of the acting is top notch, and I think it's Tom Hardy. The character that he plays is, and it's very apparent in the first episode, he's basically a fixer, and he does such a good job. They've written his characters.
Randall's asking us to hydrate, y'all.
I mean, I'm drinking an energy drink, which is not hydrating, but it is helping me function. So.
I mean, functioning is good, for sure.
I would actually argue that it is hydrating because it's you getting more liquid that would hydrate you than the caffeine would have a diuretic effect to offset.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just not as.
It's not as
hydrating.
As other things that I could and should be drinking.
Bramble's drinking a vodka margarita right now. So or Kit is that Bramble made. And I would argue that the alcohol in that would make that less hydrating than your Red Bull would.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Bramble, make me a vodka margarita as well.
Yeah, all the margaritas actually, if we could. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Around.
Morgan was like 30 seconds. And we're back from ads.
We
And
are back from ads, and Morgan is back now too.
well timed. That's fantastic timing. Okay. So thanks for those of you who sat through ads. I greatly appreciate it. We talked about TVs and hydration while you were gone. For those of you who are subscribed to the channel, you watched us blather on, which was fantastic. Thank you for being a subscriber. We deeply appreciate it. And it gives us incentive to do more stuff on stream. I have like a book full of ideas of things we could do on this channel. Some of them involve people here who are on stream. But I digress. We are going to open up a new night in our story. We are on the Mediterranean now in open sea, and we are beneath a beautiful, cloudless, starry sky. The sun has gone to bed, and now our vampires rise. And in doing so, they get an opportunity to tour the boat and the deck. And so, what are the three of you up to on your first full night in the voyage?
I'm gonna go sit up on deck and enjoy the. Hopefully, it's a nice night with maybe some stars
Mm.
and a light wind from the open sea.
Yeah,
I can smell the salty air on my, feel it on my skin. Maybe
you
Again,
certainly can.
I'm monologuing myself my own scene. Oh,
I mean, it's your scene,
it is my scene.
right?
And yeah, I'm just leaning on the railing and enjoying not being cooped up anymore, not being feeling cooped up in Constantinople.
Yeah,
I,
you feel liberated, I would imagine.
I do. And I'm not under the bishop's thumb, but still under his thumb, probably. Or somebody's thumb. Somebody's my sire. I still don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe someday.
you're probably
Yeah.
still under his rule.
Yep. I do have to go meet him in a dream.
You do, you do. He suggested that. That's certainly something that you could do. But
That's
are you
today.
taking your book up onto deck to read?
I don't think so. I think I'll enjoy the deck. I'll probably hide it under one of the bags of insert whatever the stuff is here. And just so nobody gets the urge to steal it, because then I'll have to really rip some throats out. And so, enjoy the night air, watch the locals on the ship.
Yeah, absolutely. So the crew isn't as busy as they would be. Like when you travel up to the deck itself, you see a lot of the crew are below, and they're either eating or drinking or playing cards. There are some people on deck. So Mateo is up there. You see a slight, sort of thin man that's next to Mateo who's reading over some parchments by lantern light, and he's using like pens or strange tools to like write things on this piece of paper. I'm not sure what's going on there. There is what appears to be a man with like a collection of wood, like slats of wood, who's going around the ship and like measuring things and then cutting pieces of wood to what looks like repair parts of the ship. Mateo notices that you come up on deck. He would clearly acknowledge any of the other ghoulies that are coming up on deck as well. So, and this is nothing more than him just visually acknowledging you. He's not stopping to talk to you. He's seems to be busy. He's at the wheel.
I'd definitely also go up and join Genevieve or Marie or whatever, whoever she is. The meat of the sandwich, I would go join on deck.
You can go up on deck and join your meet. So, yeah, one of the crew that's up here, a younger lad, is running down one of these rope ladders, and he spills out onto the deck, and you see him sort of scramble a bit. He runs up to Mateo and says, "We should have clear skies for quite a while. I didn't see anything else up there. So if you need me, I'll be below. Just yell." Mateo nods and sort of smirks, and he says, "Now, Andronicus, I've been very careful with you so far, and I have told Demetrios not to give you too much wine. Pace yourself, young man." And he sort of flashes a wicked smile at the kid. Okay, all right. I'll try not to lose any more of my shirts. You've only got one. Mateo calls back to him, and the boy sort of scampers underneath the deck. Ophelia, what about you?
Oh, I'll wander up deck. And like the first crew member I'll come across, I'll be like, "Is there anything I can do to help?" Because the manual labor might take my mind off of this abandonment that I feel.
Yeah, first crew member you probably come across is Mateo.
Okay.
He says, "Yes, actually, I have a question, a pretty important one. Where are we going?"
Okay. Where are we going?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Well, that's a problem. Well, Captain said that you were going to pick a place. And it's been a day now. And nobody said anything to me. We just sailed into the Mediterranean. And so it would be really helpful if someone would tell me where we're going.
Let me go find out if one of the others had a port in mind.
He nods. Like,
I'll go talk to my ghoulies.
wonderful, splendid.
Ladies, it has been requested that we give a port. Because apparently Thea has left it up to us to determine where we're going. The captain.
I look at Emeranzia. Weren't you told something? About where to stop?
Me as a player now freaking out. Was I told where to stop?
You were.
Oh no. Oh God, let me check my notes. Oh God.
It's okay. It's all right. There's no panic here.
Yeah. Nope. We're not in a hurry.
I mean, you might be immortal, but the crew is not.
Okay, well, Maria's not in a hurry.
Maria's like, I can fix that. I can make all of you live way longer.
Right now. Let's do it.
As long as you all answer to me.
Obviously. Do you want me to message you?
Ship of Shadows.
I'm coming, my sweet.
We're live on Twitch right now. That's not in the TOS, I think.
Yeah, I think there might be some concern over your verbiage there.
What? What'd I say?
It's okay.
I'm coming, my sweet.
Just so we're clear, if anyone's watching, we're not doing that show. Just so
she's arriving. No, that's not.
No, she is not arriving.
It was COM. Thank you very much.
Woo! Okay. Um. Ophelia. I mean, I would like to stop in Athens, but I doubt that's the only place we will stop while we're on the ship. If that needs to be our first stop.
Do any of you have any knowledges that might be like academics that might be useful? You could make an intelligence and academics roll.
I mean, I do.
My
think-
politics.
do.
Woo woo.
I do.
Okay, you could absolutely roll.
Okay. I'll roll my huge dice pool.
Do it. Roll it. Roll your huge dice pool.
Wow, that's a lot of successes. Five.
Okay.
I have 5 successes for you.
Michael,
Yes.
Oh no.
do you ever have a moment where you're like, oh man, the dice will save me even if the player's not doing great?
Yeah, sure.
9, 6, 1, 1. Fuck.
Mm. Okay. So
Yeah. Oh, I'm not helpful right
you
now.
are not helpful. You can't think of any place other than Athens. Like you can think of other places, but you're like, I don't know if there's support there, or I don't know if that place is currently like under attack because obviously like there's still the war going on. The fall of the Roman Empire in certain spaces has happened, but then again, like there's a lot of mini conflicts that are still happening. So for our world renowned travel du jour in Ophelia, you can think of a few places. And so Athens is one. You could stop in Crete, Cyprus. It really depends on how far you want the journey to be. Antioch, Alexandria, Palermo, Tunis, Venice, Genoa, Marseille, Barcelona. It all depends on where you want to go. So some trips might be longer than certainly others, but really you figure, knowing your geography fairly well, given the number of successes, you figure really you could come up with a couple of suggestions that Mateo would probably be able to tell you, like, this is what I think is probably true, and this is what I think is probably a good idea. Like, he's a first mate, and so he's probably had to make a ton of decisions because Thea has probably pushed that on him a ton of times. Also, as you would probably remember, given your last conversation, you're fairly certain Mateo's a ghoul.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so
Yeah.
you might be interested in all sorts of things, potentially.
So I will. Okay, so Emerantia, do you have business in Athens, or is that just a recommendation from the Dama?
Mm. I mean, I very much prefer to stop there, and I think that the Dama also had a strong preference for me to stop there, ideally first, but I'm not sure the exact timeline. That I'm not sure the exact timeline matters that deeply.
Okay.
I mean, we could
Then
always let chat decide where you go.
I think that's an awesome idea, actually.
We could certainly poll chat and ask them where they think that you should go.
I could make a poll really quick. Hold on.
I could give you some options if you'd like. I can just DM you some options because you will need options.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There you go. Straight out of OneNote.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I love the idea that we're going to have chat help us decide where the ghoulies go, because there's no reason that you shouldn't have some hand in what happens. And we do on this show in many different ways enjoy how fate can be both fickle and fortunate to our characters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's too many options. I'm gonna take my favorites of them.
I love
just
that.
so you know.
I love that for you. Just do that.
Just so you know.
Go for it. Go for it.
I'm in charge here.
And so when we put up this poll, yeah, where are the ghoulies going? I love that. So
Okay, chat. So you can vote at the top of your chat in Twitch. It should be available whether you're on mobile or PC, doesn't matter. You can also stuff the ballot box a little bit using your channel points. So if you've been hanging out and watching a bunch, you can add additional votes with your channel points, and it will rat you out. But you could push things in your favor. You could be a thumb on a scale if you want. What? Encouraging people who hang out more often to be hooligans? Oops.
We would never on this channel.
yeah, and in chat, I appreciate Kit. I appreciate you talking about raiding the library. But the Library of Alexandria burned about 800 years before this game, so it is gone, and I'm still not over it. But anyway, yeah, I know. Yeah, it's not there. Okay, we got a poll going. Ooh, oh, I like this. I like seeing the polls move. This is so much fun.
Oh, Athens has really shot up.
Yeah.
Alexandria
Holy
had like all the votes, and now Athens is at like 23 to Alexandria's 13.
If you're out there voting and you voted for Alexandria, you need to get in the game here, because clearly Athens is trying to take your lunch money.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Now remember, those channel points can be used for this vote, but also you can always engage with those channel points if you have enough to spend them for Hands of Fate, positive or negative, on our ghoulies. Because when we don't have a guest, we absolutely make sure that you have an opportunity to influence what happens to them.
I don't know who I'm fighting with on this vote, but this is so great.
Oh, Alexandria's up to 45 now, and Athens is at 30, 40,
No, we're still doing it.
44 to 51. Oh, God. Oh, this is so intense. 52 to 59, 54 to
Alright.
50 to 66.
Oh, it's only 10 things, and I've got like 13,000. So let's go.
Well,
Fight,
that's why
fight.
I wanted to see what happens if we had a
Somebody
chat
said,
fight.
I can't even keep clicking. This is not cookie clicker, folks. Like,
Oh, well, I think for someone it is.
somebody's really in it. They're in it to win it.
That's right.
That's me.
Oh, that's so good.
Me and Allie are fighting.
Now, this is wonderful. This is Clan Bruja and Lasombra fighting with one another. Boy, this is neck and neck here.
I love it. I'm done clicking. I stopped clicking.
Oh, Alexandria wins.
The poll ended. Alexandria won 113 votes to
108.
108 votes.
Y'all
Dude,
are amazing.
that was great.
Okay.
You're a menace, Allie. Menace.
So, Allie, I will give Ophelia this little tidbit.
Okay.
Alexandria is part of a sultanate right now. It is about what you believe is about 800 or so nautical miles from Constantinople. You're not sure exactly how far you are now, but that's certainly a destination. So you're going to be able to get to Alexandria is going to put you on a very specific portion of the continent. Obviously, you're going to leave the European continent. You're going to land in Egypt. It's also the second largest city in Egypt. So
Yeah.
that is your plan.
Yeah. So I'll go tell Mateo, set course for Alexandria.
He raises an eyebrow. Any particular reason?
There's a lot of rich history there, and you wanted a location.
All right. Well, it's going to take us the better part of a fortnight to get there. If we get lucky, we might get some good wind, and maybe we can cut it to a week, but it'll depend. So I will let our navigator know. I'm sure that Etienne will be pleased. He enjoys Alexandria. He turns around and heads back up towards where the man with all the paperwork and the pencils are, and he starts talking to him. And you see them start plotting a course and looking at more information as the night rolls along. It is peaceful out here in the Mediterranean, at least for a good hour or two. The moon gets up fairly high. It's pretty few clouds. But as it gets higher into the sky, I'd like all of our ghoulies to make perception and alertness rolls.
I got a whole pile of nothing for you.
Got one.
Okay.
I have you. 3.
Okay. 3 successes. So you are the only one who makes out that on the horizon, there is a shape on the ocean or on the sea here. There's a shape, and you catch just the slightest glimpse of maybe a sail. It's hard to say. You get a lot of light from the moon, but you're also on the open water, and distance is not something you're so familiar with here.
What is that? She'll say, kind of leaning on the railing, looking at the shape. Not really asking anyone specific, but saying that loud enough that if anyone does know what that is and wants to also look at it, that hopefully she gets an answer. Just so, what is that out there? How far out is that?
You hear some boots behind you, and then Mateo pulls like a very well cut and shaped piece of leather out of his tunic. Reaches in and pulls it out, and then goes into a bag and pulls out 2 pieces of what look like cut and shaped glass. And he, on the rail of the ship, very quickly puts these one piece of glass on the left and one piece of glass on the right, and then rolls the leather together and then locks it in place with this leather strap. And you watch him raise it up to his eyes and look out across the ocean. And then you hear him say, "It's a trade galleon. Perfect. He stalks back over to the main mast of the ship, and he starts ringing this bell. And there's this clatter, and all sorts of people start coming up from the bottom of the deck. And Mateo walks back towards them, and he says, "We have a galleon. Make for the oars, adjust the sails, and bring us in." And the crew gets genuinely excited. People start hooting and hollering, and all sorts of things start to happen. You see lines, ropes, etc., begin moving. The sails get trimmed in a very specific angle, and then you finally feel something which you have not felt on this ship before, which is the clatter of wood as the oars come out and the ship begins to get propelled forward. And so you feel the ship like pick up speed. Mateo comes back over to the three of you. Now, I don't know if you want to be part of this or not, but we have a particular taste for this.
Just put me where you need me.
A particular taste for. And she's just going to raise an eyebrow at him.
Well,
Interest.
pirating.
I've been out on sea many a time, but I haven't done the pirating before. I will try to stay mostly out of your way, but take notes so I can be of use next time.
Alrighty.
She will sort of jokingly pluck a string or two. Do you need battle music? Or
I don't know if the harp is a battle instrument, but I'll leave that to you. You're the musician.
I feel so challenged right now. I am already planning the role I'm going to request to make in a little bit. Don't worry.
The ship begins to get closer, and you can see that this large galleon is sort of, I wouldn't say meandering through the sea, but it's certainly not cutting through the waves like the Droman is. And as they get closer, you start to hear clatters from beneath the ship. You start to hear movement. And a part of the deck of the ship opens. And as it opens, you see something large and wooden get raised up onto the deck level. And it has a very graceful bow to it. And crew begin preparing this essentially siege weapon. As this ballista gets aimed in their direction. They load a very wicked and large looking arrow into it. I mean, the head of the arrow is probably as wide as a shovel. And it has 4 distinct tines on it. It looks like a massive harpoon. And they begin cranking the machine into proper set. And you can tell a couple of things. Like as you're on deck, you can tell 2 things are absolutely true. One, the galleon knows that the Droman is here and it is getting closer. And you also see what makes the Droman so useful, and that is that it is highly maneuverable. And that galleon is not in any way, shape, or form. But what begins coming towards your way are arrows.
Well, that's no fun.
The deck begins to get peppered with like sheaf arrows. And so what I'm going to do is ask our ghoulies to roll initiative as we are going to get into some piratical shenanigans. This is just a D10 added to your Dex plus Wit score.
I get 7.
$11.
8.
Okay. I'm going to put the ship on a specific initiative. And that'll be all the crew actions. So they are going to go on 7. And then we will put the galleon's initiative as well. And so they are going to go on 5. So, Emerenzia, you are going to need to do a couple things. If you're going to stay up on deck, then you're going to have to make every round a dodge roll to essentially make sure that you are not going to get hit by arrows. I'm going to make a roll for this sort of roll for the galleon that as its archers are attacking the drummond.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll have to test over them, or you might actually get shot.
Okay.
Wow, they rolled exceptionally well.
I don't like you saying that.
That's understandable. You can let me know too, because you can spend blood defensively for celerity. If you choose to do that, you can add celerity to your dodging, but keep in mind that if you're dodging at celerity speed, you are not being covert about what you are, because no one moves that fast.
Yeah, that's fair. But nobody normal survives becoming a pincushion either.
That's also true.
So I'll have to figure out what I want to do. Is there anything I could hide behind, even if it was just like being on the wrong side of the main mast, from where the arrows are being lobbied?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You could certainly hide behind the mast. I would give you a cover bonus.
Cool. Then I'm gonna get back there.
Okay. You'll still have to roll, but
yeah. Sweet, no successes.
okay.
I
So
didn't botch, just no successes.
no successes. So I have 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a damage roll here, and then I will add the material successes to that damage roll, as this is the storyteller system.
Sure.
Okay. So this is lethal damage, which is something that vampires can soak, as you're a supernatural creature. So you'll get a chance to roll stamina. I will ask you to roll stamina. This is something you can also spend willpower for automatic successes if that's what you'd like.
I'll spend a willpower.
Okay. You try really, really hard not to get shot. Or at least to soak it.
I'm putting all of my dice in jail. I got a 10 and a 1.
That is not as helpful as you might think. So, normally, I would deal you 8 points of lethal damage, which would put you in torpor. But I am going to play this hand of fate for you, which a backer selected. And so I'll redeem that for you. And what I'll do with that hand of fate is I will cut the successes in half. I will deal 4 points of lethal damage to you. You can breathe a sigh of relief for this round. So basically, the arrows come in, and you are not expecting that many arrows to get shot. It looks like there's maybe 15 archers that are on this galleon protecting it, and they just begin raining arrows down.
Sick.
Yeah, a lot of them hit in your space, and your clothes get sort of riddled with arrows in different directions. Most of them diagonal and down. You feel yourself get cut and split open.
Perfect.
Alrighty.
Love that for us.
I love that for you too. It is still technically your action, so you get a dice action of something that you want to do. So,
I really wanted to do like a badass performance to improve morale during this fight. Some classic bardic to get everyone's blood pumping, kind of a vibe. I did just get shot like a lot, and I think that'd be real, not normal human of me to get sliced and diced a little bit, and then just bust out a performance anyway.
I love
So,
it.
I think I might have to just be planning how I'm going to get below deck to lick my wounds so that I can cosplay a human correctly.
Okay.
So I think I'm actually just going to ham it up behind this main mast so it looks like a normally appropriately wounded human back here.
That's definitely charisma performance.
Yeah. I hope I don't do too well at this, but that is a risk when it comes to charisma performance with Emerenzia.
Oh no, we're well aware. We have seen you do really well on or maybe too well on performance rolls.
Hey, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
What's my target number here?
Generally 6.
Good. So I have 7 successes.
It's quite a lot. 7 successes. Okay, so you ham it up. You do the complete Bugs Bunny routine of being shot. You faint 2 or 3 different times. You call out to the gods. You ask the men to spare your harp for the love of music. If it does not stay, it was something you can't possibly handle. And you inspire them in such a strange way that they really feed off of the pain and anguish that this beautiful woman has been cut down by these dastardly archers. And so when the crew goes, they'll act as if they are inspired. So we'll have to figure out what that functionally is, but that's okay. We'll figure that out later.
It's all coming up, Emerenzia, including these arrows.
You bet. So Ophelia, your action on 8.
Okay. So am I close enough to see this marvelous performance that Emerenzi is putting on?
Oh yeah, you watch her become a pincushion, and then perform.
Be very tragic about the whole thing.
Highly. This is like the most tragic porcupine you've ever seen.
I will, because I'll need to dodge to get to her, but I will intend to like take her below deck to help her not be a pincushion anymore.
I love that. Okay, so what you're going to have to do is move through a space where there are projectiles, and so
Correct.
you'll make a dex dodge roll modified by any celerity you choose to invoke and use.
I'm not going to invoke celerity because there are mortals about,
Okay.
and
Then
I
it's
don't know how many of them know about my particular affinity.
okay.
Let's put it that way.
So it's Dex Dodge, and they have 5
Yeah.
successes.
And I mean none of those because I've rolled a 3, a 4, and 2 ones.
Oh, that is really, really tough. Okay. So I suppose we recently had a backer join us, and they decided to play Hand of Fate, and they decided to play one for Ophelia. And so I will make that happen here on stream for you. So here's what's going to happen. You launch yourself at Emerenzia, and you tackle her because of the role of the ship. As you tackle Emerenzia, the harp does not necessarily take the barrel roll so well. It is not broke, but it does get many arrows stuck in it. But you are able to shelter her, mostly because you take a few arrows where Emerenzia wouldn't have. And so we'll deal 2 boxes of lethal damage to you as you hustle off the deck of the ship, Emerenzia in
Okay.
tow.
Should I roll stamina to see if I soak any of that first?
You certainly should.
Which I don't because I rolled a 2 and a 3, so that's fine. I don't need to soak the damage or anything. But thank you, backer, whoever you were.
That's very nice of them. Okay. So interestingly enough, the boat and Genevieve go on the same action. And so at this point, Genevieve, the arrows have fallen, so you're not going to have to worry about an arrow field to go through. So I'll ask what you're up to.
No good.
Good. I like
Because
that.
apparently I've been muted the whole time, unmuted the whole time, so you can hear me typing. You're welcome, everybody. No. Sweet. So Ophelia's tackled Emerenzia. People aren't, those guys aren't dying. We're good. How close is the other boat?
I would say it's probably still yet about, it's probably about 50 yards or so. It's certainly something that you could, if you chose to, dive into the water and swim after. Or you could.
I don't know how to swim.
I mean, you could at least dog paddle.
That's true.
Yeah, it's not within like rope. It's, you can't swing from the sail yet and get there. They're not that close. Probably in the next round or so.
All right.
You could try to commandeer the ballista and shoot it if you wanted to.
That would be so much fun, actually.
Certainly within your ability.
I would totally. Sorry, I'm looking at my stuff. I should have already been decided. I'm so sorry, folks. Anyways, all right. So I'm gonna shoot it. I'm gonna shoot the harpoon.
Okay. So you run over to this large ballista, and you see a man dressed probably like someone from the streets of Constantinople. He's got a beard. He looks to be sort of sighting with this and trying to move the ballista into the right position. And he's, telling, no, left. No, go right. He's issuing a bunch of orders to the crew as they try to get ready. And he goes, get ready for the ship to turn. And he's, issuing out all these strange commands. He is, of course, no one's on the trigger just yet. No one's grabbed a hold of the lever to fire just yet.
That's fine. I'll do it.
Okay. So this is probably.
It's gonna be a strength roll.
No. You got any archery?
No. Silly. I was a soldier.
Yeah, sure. So you're just gonna you yank this lever. So it'd be dex and uh, archery in this space. So dex only if that's what you have.
It is.
You could certainly spend
Can I spend a blood point
for.
for a successful? Will it just give me a successful or an extra die?
So here's what you could do. Yeah, you could spend blood to increase your dexterity score. So it's a 1-for-1 basis up to 5. And I think at your generation, you are probably capped ability wise at 5, but I can double check that. Yeah, max trait's 5. So you could spend blood points to increase your physical attributes. You can do that with stamina too and strength, technically, because it's going to be a dex roll.
Yeah, so I'm gonna spend 2 blood points to gain 2 additional die to put me at 5.
Mhm.
Okay. And we're looking at 7s or higher, right?
Yes.
Because I got 2.
Okay. You let this thing loose, and there is a massive clatter from the ship and from this ballista that fires off. And you realize something, that when it fires, there is something trailing behind it, and that is rope. And it sails across the space between the two vessels. And as it does, it strikes the galleon. And when it does, it strikes it just above the waterline. And there's a huge reaction from the people that you're standing around. They're aghast, astonished, etc. But the ship, because it gets an action at the same time, the crew recovers. And then this man who was standing back here giving orders says, "Well, go on then, grab the rope and pull us closer." And you see something sort of astonishing, which is about 6 or 8 crew grab onto this rope, and they start pulling as the oars are essentially, into the water, and they're scooping and pushing the vessel closer. And you begin to close distance at a dramatic speed. And you realize that in just about a round or so, you will probably be able to swing over to that galleon. A couple of the men on the ship throw these clay pots. And as they throw them, like little gouts of flame come out of them as they crash onto the deck and into the water nearby on the galleon. And they sort of like begin creating a burning terror on the ocean. And at that point, the galleon is going to take its action. So the archers reload. So they will be prepared to go on their next round. And we'll go back to the top. So Emerenzia, you get under the deck, and you are quite the pincushion. But you are covered from any other further, trouble for the moment. What are you doing down here? You're in the arms of Ophelia, who has you and the harp at the same time. I cannot hear you, buddy.
I said, at least my harp's okay. And then I thanked Ophelia. And then I think the thing that makes the most sense would be I'm going to go find that doctor chick.
The surgeon, yes. Bella?
Yes, I'm going to go find, that's what I said, the doctor chick.
Bella, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
The doctor chick. Okay.
Surgeon, doctor chick. I mean, yes, I'll go find the surgeon. Because if I'm going to play the part of a potentially horrifyingly wounded, beautiful maiden that all of them need to avenge now, the next step in that play is to go see the surgeon.
Okay. All right. Finding the surgeon is something you can absolutely do. Ophelia, are you just dropping your charge off and then heading back up? Or are you staying under as well?
Oh, no, I'm going to head back up. I am not a pincushion, so.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Tiny warrior princess has to go tiny warrior princess. I get it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ophelia. Good luck with the fight.
Thank you. Thankfully, you don't have to be so dramatic down here.
There are those grates in the floor on ships on like the main deck that go down to the subdecks. So I've got to be a little dramatic still. If I'm just cool when I'm directly below their feet, what if they hear me just being nonchalant? I've got to still. At least they protected my heart. I hope they're all okay up there as I like make my way through the subtext to find the surgeon.
This is hamming it up. You know that, Ophelia. But it seems to be effective. You parade your way through the space in the underneath the deck looking for Bella. Ophelia, if you head back up, let me know what your plan is when you get back.
I'm gonna wait until we're alongside the other ship, and then I'm gonna go over with the other people.
Okay.
I want a snack.
Do you now?
I do.
Okay.
I'm not allowed to eat this crew.
That's true.
I was not told I'm not allowed to eat other crew.
Also true. Also very true. Okay. So the two ships get closer, and as the two of you and Genevieve are up on deck, you notice a couple things. The oars get pulled in rather rapidly, and as they do, you realize that a lot of the crew is beginning to prepare, like ropes, like they're attaching ropes to the sides of the ship, and you see these big metal hooks come out in a lot of these crews' hands, and they have ropes attached to them, and people start swinging and trying to hook onto this ship. All the while, there's arrow fire between the two ships. There's general chaos. A lot of the archers seem to have been affected by this fire. These fire pots, these pots of Greek fire that have been thrown, and that's when really hell begins to break loose on the other ship. One of their sails is now on fire. And so if you two are going to plan on going over to the other ship for glory and riches and pirating fun, I'm going to need a couple of different roles from you. First, I need you to tell me how you're going to do it. And then because there is open fire present and it's not just a little candle, you'll need an actual courage test to be around that much fire. Because both of you are sort of like a wicker chair when it comes to fire.
So I want to grab one of the hooks to chuck it over there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to use that as my way over to the ship. And I rolled 2 successes on my courage roll.
Okay, that's good.
What's it, my turn?
It is your turn.
Sweet. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do, people. Just let you know.
There's no way to edit that out. There's no dead space editing here.
Whatever. You heard me drop the F-bomb. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But this is a mature show.
This is a mature show. It is marked as mature.
Exactly.
It wasn't the swearing that killed me. It was the I don't care.
Come on, Morgan. You're arriving here. Let's go.
Arriving.
You are
All right.
arriving.
Yeah, so I'm gonna yeah, I want to just jump on over. I'm gonna ask one of the guys for their hooks, and if they have an extra hook sitting around, if they got a sword, do they got something?
They have
Do they
swords.
have?
I don't believe you're
Okay,
asking for a hook. I think you're taking a hook, aren't
I'll
you?
probably fucking take it.
Yes.
Excuse me. I will freaking take it. That was
You-
really bright there, bunny. Aw. And jump over.
Okay.
I'm
You
all
take a
over.
hook. So
Yep.
that's Dex athletics. Or actually just sorry, strength athletics. I'll give you strength athletics because the hook is fairly heavy and it's something you can certainly put potence behind.
I don't need no potence.
You have potence. I'm just saying you
I
can
know.
use it.
Get 6 dice.
Hmm.
We're gonna do it.
Do it.
Oh yeah, baby. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 successes.
That's pretty impressive. Okay, so when you throw your line and hook over, you actually end up throwing it at a really, really wide arc. And when you do, you hook on to one of the main rail posts on this side of the ship, and you watch the hook wrap around a couple of times and then hook onto the rope itself and cinch real hard. And so you've got a real firm line that you could use to travel over. And so what it looks like some of the other men are doing is they're tying off their end of the line here to the rail on this ship. And then they're going to basically go hand over hand, or some of them are actually planning on, it looks like, tightrope walking over.
I am not tightrope walking over.
No? I'm surprised. Okay. So you both have that prepped. And then if you're planning on going over, Genevieve, you'll need to make me a courage test.
Oh, you know it.
Be courageous.
I'm gonna be courageous. Two successes.
Okay. So you both steel yourself against the prospect of coming face to face with the one thing that is sure to destroy you, and that is fire. And you dive over and begin heading towards the other ship. Any particular way or method the two of you are using? Like you've hooked your rope, certainly, Genevieve, but how will you use it?
I'm gonna, you know, we're making music. We're making sounds with it. But I'm gonna climb like this,
Okay.
hand over hand.
Awesome.
I got plans when I get over there.
I love that. Ophelia?
I'm gonna do the method of like hanging from the rope, and then I'm gonna go hand over hand and use my feet to like propel me so that I'm like shooting over there.
All right. So I will take strength athletics rolls from both of you to
Okay.
head over. I will make a roll for the other ship to see if they can get the ropes loose. Do a little bit of a contested roll here.
2.
Okay.
4.
Okay. So they had 2 successes, but you are technically defending in this case, Ophelia. And so they try to get your rope loose. You get really jostled on the way over, but you do eventually get over there. And so now that you were on the other side of the ship, you are, well, the two of you are the first ones over.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
This does not mean that there aren't other crew members coming over. So they're beginning to land, but you'll have your first opportunity to deal with this crew. There are several guards here. Probably say there's at least 5. You've seen a lot of the fire take some of these archers and some of the other crew members that are here, but you'll definitely have to deal with some of them. I'd like to know how you're going to do that.
So now is when I'm going to spend that blood point to activate celerity
Okay.
to knock a bunch of them about.
You're going to begin taking multiple actions. Very good.
Correct.
Okay. Genevieve, what's the plan? Or Maria, for that matter. You are totally muted. There you go.
So I am going to. Oh, but you're activating celerity, so that's probably not going to be a good idea, right? I activated Nocturne. So I can only pick one victim at a time with my dread gaze, right?
Correct. Dread gaze is totally single target, but that doesn't mean you couldn't go after like the galleon's captain, who is
I love that idea.
pretty easy to see, pretty easy to find.
Yeah, I love that idea. Love it, love it, love it.
Go stalk him down.
Mm-hmm. And
Okay.
I have to roll charisma and intimidation.
You do. It's resisted by willpower, right?
Difficulty equal to the victim's wits and courage.
Oh, okay. So
you have to make it up.
I'll say the difficulty is 6.
Okay. Intimidation. And I have commanding voice.
You do, so you'll be able to reroll 10s.
Mm-hmm. Then... Oh. I got 2 10s on that. Lucky, lucky.
Boy.
What's the difficulty?
6.
Okay. Just checking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and reroll my 10s. Ooh, excuse me. I got 8 successes.
Holy moly. Okay, so you become a terror on the other side of this ship. You let loose with this. It's not really even a howl. It's not a scream. It is this sort of bellow of terror. You extend your fangs. You feel the heat grow in your face. Like your face gets red hot internally, which is real strange for somebody who is always cold as a vampire. Everything around you is bathed in red. And the mortals you come across on your way shrink from you as if the devil himself had arrived. The captain and the crew cower those that are still around. And you have complete control over the people in front of you out of fear. And it feels right.
Do I get to give them a command and tell them to give me all their things?
Well, I mean, no, you're being super scary right now.
Oh, okay.
Being super, super scary. But it's being super effective. So I'll ask Ophelia, are you planning on dining this evening? Is that the plan?
Yes.
Okay. So feeding is something Canaanites do all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to go ahead and do that with a unwelcomed mortal, you're going to have to make some sort of dex brawl roll to get them under your control, and then you will have to feed.
Yeah, that's not a problem. I got some of that. I got a whole success.
It's really all you need is one, because the crew right now on the other side of this is down dice because they've been, Some of them have been set on fire. They're being boarded right now. You basically just grab a hold of someone. And what I want to know is, does Ophelia have enough self-control to do it in private? Or is she going to do it where everyone can see it? And what I'm going to ask to be the determining factor in this is your self-control, Bruja.
Yeah, my self control is a surprising 3.
It is.
Yeah.
Mhm. It
So
is.
do you want me to roll my self control?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, okay.
You're hungry, aren't you?
Yeah, I shouldn't have rolled.
Oh. Oh, yeah? Why don't you tell me all about it? Why don't you tell the entire internet about it?
No. So I rolled a 5 and 2 1s on 3 dice. So I botched my self control.
Botch your self-control. Well, botch is pretty bad. A botch is
Yeah.
really, really bad.
The botch is really bad.
But I am going to do you one better. And I'm going to go ahead and play a hand of 8 against you on your botch.
Great.
And I'm going to turn you into an unholy terror on this ship. So
Am I eating more than one person?
you are not going to remember exactly what happens because you fall to frenzy.
Second time is in as many episodes.
And so I will tell this narrative portion through Morgan's character's eyes. So while you are at one end of the boat, having dumbstruck and feared the captain into wetting himself and becoming a blubbering mess, the other side of the ship is filled with fire and the imagery of Ophelia leaping from person to person and ripping their throats out and like pushing them into parts of the structure of the ship, or smashing their heads against the mast, throwing people over the side of the ship. She bites one person 4 or 5 different times, and it seems like all she's doing is just trying to coat herself in as much blood as possible. It's not proper feeding, really. Not until like the 3rd or 4th victim. And then it seems like something natural begins to kick in. And I'll say that you gain 6 points of blood, Ophelia.
That's great.
It doesn't stop your frenzy. But
No.
you fill up at some point.
Yeah.
You turn many, many people into just a wasted portion of their existence here in the Mediterranean. The two of you effectively terrorize this crew and terrify the crew who brought you here, as both of you become sort of public monsters for a little while. Not so much Maria as Ophelia, who loses it to frenzy. But essentially, Morgan, your character gets offered whatever they want. Take whatever you want. Please let us live. They beg for their lives.
And I will. I tell the crew to load up, boys. Let's get this. No, I don't say let's get this. Morgan would say let's get this.
Morgan, what Morgan just did.
I did. Yeah. So pull the close. I mean, I'm assuming we can pull the boats like fairly close together.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Throw a gangplank over. We can just carry our loot, our fat loot.
The crew, your crew, the crew of this ship you're on, are more than happy to oblige. It's like second nature for them. They dive in, and they dive below deck, and there's more screaming down there. And there's a lot of a lot of wood breaking, stabbing, there's all sorts of stuff that goes on below deck. And they start hauling up trunks of fabric, whether it be fine silks or whether it be sail material. And then you start seeing riches, you start seeing jewelry and all these other fine pieces that begin making their way up onto deck. And eventually, Mateo joins the two of you. At this point, Ophelia, you've recovered, but you've managed to cloister yourself in a side room on this galleon. And you are coated head to toe in blood. Your outfit is despoiled and stained. And there are bits of gore sort of clinging to your cheeks. For you, Emerenzia, you find Bella. She assists you with putting on what she calls performative bandages. She makes it pretty clear to you that she knows that you don't need bandages. But for the time being, it would be best the crew thought that you were injured.
Yeah.
She's very careful. She's a good surgeon. But she looks almost forlorn at the harp, which seems to be somewhat damaged.
Mm. Oh. I just got this too. Damn it. Does it seem like something I could fix myself?
Oh, yeah.
Or... Okay. I guess I know what I'm doing the next couple of nights. I will do my part to feign what I need to so that the crew doesn't catch on to anything. Thank you for taking such gentle and precise care of me, even if I don't need it as much of your crew would.
Well, if the captain was not on one of her fishing adventures, I'm sure she would have joined you.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they've got a hold of things up there finally. I'm
Not
going to
too
go.
much quieter.
I'm going to go check on the crew.
Let me know if you need any help with them.
You're welcome to join me. She puts like a small bag together and puts it across her body and then heads upstairs.
I'll go with her, knowing that I have no medical skills, but I'm good at being a distraction, even if it's a positive one, when somebody's more injured than we want them to think they are. So I'm going to go help anyway.
You go
in ways that Emerenzia can.
Well, certainly. You can certainly go and be helpful. Yeah. As far as the rating of the galleon, the pirate crew takes everything. There's really nothing they leave. Their plan, it seems, is to leave the sacked galleon here, but they're not taking any prisoners. They don't take people. They go, they collect the prized booty from the ship, and then they plan to leave on.
I saw Morgan's mouth move, but Mike is muted.
Because I was mouthing the booty. It was the prized booty. Sometimes it's best if I don't unmute, okay?
That's facts.
So I'm gonna when I'm gonna head back to the ship, hopefully a lot sooner than everybody else, so I can strip down and get new clothes and
So
maybe find a wash basin to clean off my face.
100% going to have me make a Dex stealth roll because I'm telling you what, you are covered in blood. And it would be one thing if the blood was on your clothes, but you are when you see those pictures or those videos of young children who have put their whole face into a watermelon to eat it, or
Yeah.
like a pie eating contest. You ever have a real good pie and it just sort of gets all over the place? That's sort of what this is like. You
Or
have
like eating like barbecue ribs.
sure. You have stuff sort of all over your face.
I got 2 successes.
Okay. So you get past the crew, most of them. The crew member you don't get past is Bella, who watches you sort of slink back onto the ship and try to slink back under lower deck. And she
Yeah.
just eyes you a little strangely and says, there are some replacement linens near the hold in the ship. Clean up quickly before the crew returns.
And I'll just nod. I'm not even gonna say anything because like,
She watches you go.
yep. And I will get some replacement linens, and I will find that basin of water, and I will make myself at least mostly presentable.
Mm-hmm. That is going to take some time. So, on the other side of the ship, Genevieve, you see your first pirate hall. It's inspiring.
It is.
It's even more inspiring when they bring up a chest, like a real, actual wooden chest. It's like maybe 2 or so feet wide, and it's maybe like a foot or so tall, gilded, heavy lock on it. Mateo nods. This is the prize. But we'll need a little finesse.
What's in it?
My guess, the crew like pick it up. Takes them a second to like actually get it off the deck. My guess is gold and silver. It's probably laden to buy goods in Constantinople, which they won't get the opportunity to. Bring it aboard. I'll see if I can open it.
My eyes might. I've like, if my heart pumped anymore, it would be pumping very fast, and I feel like that. This could buy me a city. All right, maybe not a city, but part of a city, maybe some politicians. I gotta start somewhere. I follow the back.
Okay. You follow them back, and they cast off fairly quickly from this galleon. They actually use the oars on the Drummond to push the ships apart. Very, very carefully. And then they're back underway. And that galleon, now with its sails burned and its deck damaged, the crew, which remain, the ones, of course, that you didn't kill or Ophelia didn't eat, are going to have a difficult job trying to get to port. But that's really not your problem. The crew crowds around the main desk where originally they had those plans set out. It's been cleared off now, and Mateo sort of takes the chest and they hoist it all the way up onto this table. And he peers into the lock and then calls out, I'm going to need my tools. Theodore, go get my tools. He looks at you, Genevieve, and says, it's going to be tricky, but I think I can do it.
Can I just try to pull the lock off? Excuse me. I have crushing grip.
You certainly could. If you make a move towards the lock, Like Mateo like puts his hand on the chest and it's like, we all know you're strong. I don't think the crew would understand. Patience.
You're right. You're right.
They return with like another folded piece of leather, and he gets these long metallic tools out, and he begins sort of like probing the inside of this lock until you start hearing the metal click back and forth. After about a minute or so, there's a heavy click. And when you hear the heavy click, he pulls the tools out and yanks really hard down on the base of the lock. And the lock and the base of it separate. And he opens it and sort of sets it aside. And he yanks open the front of this chest. And in it, you see more gold and silver than you have seen in quite some time. He digs his hand into it. When he digs his hand in it, he pulls out a dagger, this jewel encrusted dagger. It's beautiful. It's probably Spanish make. It's got a lot of beautiful filigree work. He nods. This is a wonderful price. He shuts the lid. Move everything back downstairs. We can sell most of this off at Alexandria Makeport. Everyone will drink and eat well. The crew sort of cheer. Well, it's definitely a good night for us. What happened over there?
Is that Mateo asking?
Mm-hmm. To your friend.
Oh,
She got in a fight.
yeah, I think she took a couple more hits than she intended of the fist. Hence all the. I get really angry when I get hit a lot too.
That happen often?
No. Because it only needs to happen once.
Good to know.
Mm.
I think I spared the crew from seeing the worst of it, but some of these encounters will be difficult to explain.
Yeah, I'll talk to Ophelia and we'd like to keep your need for explanations down to a minimum.
I would like that too. The crew are already... Well, there are some misgivings sailors always have about having women at sea. But
It's the boobs, isn't it?
no, actually, it's a superstition. I quite like having women at sea. Quite useful. But not everyone feels this way.
What's the superstition? I've never been at sea for an extensive period of time.
Name it. I mean, sailors blame everything on anything that is out of the ordinary. Someone doesn't eat the food that's been prepared. Well, they're sick. They've got the plague. A woman at sea is a target. Now, Thea has been good about excising these nasty rumors from the crew. She's very good at making her presence known. And she's a fit captain. And she keeps her crew happy. Rum, whiskey, coin. It's all they need.
She sounds like she's sensible. Having interacted with her several times.
She is I don't know that sensible is what I would say.
Well, sensible to keep the crew happy. And perhaps unaware or not wanting to know about other things that might go on.
She's more like a force of nature.
Well, I I did get that about her. Yes, it was impressive.
She goes off on these fishing expeditions. You see, the Mediterranean has a lot of ships that have sunk over the history. And so sometimes she ties a rope to herself and she dives off the side of the ship and she'll stay under for hours, days, all the while hunting what she can with her eyes. She talks to fish.
She talks the fish.
He leans in. Clan Gangro is very close to nature, including animals.
Oh. Well, just one more thing to appreciate about her.
There are many. I certainly appreciate many things about her. She saved me. I didn't deserve it. I still don't. But I am hers.
Well, she must have saw something in you.
Probably. I was busy stealing from a church.
Oh. Oh.
She caught me in the baptismal.
Oh. Yeah, they frown upon that.
Oh, yes.
A smidge.
It was beautiful. There was a service, a baptismal service being prepared for that day. And so they had moved many wondrous treasures into that space. And I had been sleeping off some intoxicants from the day before. And I availed myself of the finery which was available.
As you do. Yeah. No, the church does not take kindly upon those that would steal from it.
No. No, they certainly don't like competition.
No. Well, let me know what I can do to help you and the crew.
Perhaps help everyone work on control.
Well, absolutely. I will have a conversation with Ophelia. No promises. She doesn't report to me.
He
She
puts
doesn't report to me.
he puts his hands up. I understand. There's only so many things you can control out here, but we don't want an unruly or questioning crew. It's not good for morale.
I understand.
Thank you. So, Emerenzia, you are able to work on the harp. It takes you a few hours to basically take the arrows out of it and to prepare it for its next sort of the next rendition, which is now it has to be retuned. Now it has to be probably needs some paint after taking a little bit of scuffing, but
Yeah, I'll paint it, oil it, retune it, all of the things that need done with harp maintenance. I brought the kit.
you did.
One of the few things I made sure to pack.
Okay. And then, Ophelia, you do find clothes. They're relatively simple. They're all made for, they're breeches, tunics, and you don't find any boots, but you do find clean clothes.
I'm not used to wearing breeches.
Nope.
So I might struggle like with my walking for a little while. Like, this is unnatural. What the fuck is this? But I will also like happily, well, not happily, embarrassed. I'm absolutely embarrassed. To like get my clothes washed
Mhm.
Like, I will offer to like wash my own clothes because like that was something I did when I was growing up anyway. And I'm sure I washed like Master Callius's clothes and stuff occasionally too. Like if he had a particularly like hard feeding, like if someone struggled or something, I'm sure I've gotten blood out of his clothes and stuff before as well. So
Maybe your blood.
yeah. So
Maybe there's a memory of cleaning your own bloody clothes after your master fed on you.
yeah. So I'll wash my clothes and I will once again make myself useful and wash other clothes and bed sheets and stuff as well. Partially as like penance and partially so I can just like hide from like the crew, be like, nothing happened. I'm fine.
Okay. You wash some clothes. It takes you into a rhythm. Doing that sort of work sort of walks you down a memory path that is difficult. Because these are the many of the things that you would do for your master.
Mm-hmm.
It's natural for you to do that work for him. And you're doing it now for yourself, which is a little different. But that memory sticks to you and probably makes you a little morose, maybe a little gloomy afterwards, or maybe just heartsick, however you choose to feel about it.
Heartsick would be probably the closest thing.
By the end of the night, or I should say, as night nears dawn, the crew have mostly drank themselves into a slumber. They do so with help, though, from Emerenzia, who plays, along with some accompaniment, a lively tune. There are a couple people here on the ship who have musical instruments. And so the following two musical instruments are available to you, at least from the crew. There is a flute player here, someone who plays the flute. This is sort of a shorter flute, so a lot of higher pitches rather than deep pitches. And then there's another crew member here who has what is in effect like a sitar.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's some very elegant or not so elegant music that they can put out with that. But if you three would like to regather after the event, I'm happy to have said scene before that happens.
Yeah, I think I need to have a talk with Ophelia
Okay.
about her actions on said ship.
Go for it. She's coming back with a bunch of washed clothes.
Like her clothes or other people's clothes?
They look like her
Yes.
clothes. Maybe more than just her clothes.
Are we in our little enclosed area?
You are.
Oh, first I'm going to check to make sure my book is still there. Is it still underneath the? Okay,
It is. It's just not like, in the same. It probably got jostled a little bit by all the ship movement.
That makes sense. Yeah, I look at Ophelia. What happened?
I don't really know.
I think we need to figure out. I think we need to figure that out. We can't.
I can tell you I didn't lose control intentionally.
Okay, I understand. A lot of things have happened. A lot of changes. We're on the ship. I'm part of me is aching to just let loose. But we have to figure that out. We can't, because what happens if that happens against the crew? Who's gonna sail the ship? Were you thinking about somebody? Were you thinking about your sire? I know
No,
you were sad.
I'm still sad.
I
That will
know.
probably last a long time.
I understand.
No, I figured get over there fast enough, and my intentions were to shove people off deck, but I was also hungry. And I think that kicked in. So I think I just need to make sure that I stay more fed than I have been. Because I didn't feed before we left.
It's true. So are you saying the fish is not going to suffice?
No, I think the fish will be fine. I think I just need to not go so long between feeding.
Okay. Well, let's make sure we get what we need from our new friend Bella. All the fish.
Okay. So
I mean, I'm okay now.
Oh, good.
you are better now. It took you some time.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably still sort of picking crew member out of your teeth, but that's neither here nor there.
Right.
The crew does get a rousing musical performance, harp, flute, and sitar, which is sort of an interesting trio in and of itself. You find two competent musicians, although not virtuosos by any means. They are competent and helpful, and they probably, I would imagine that the harp's not going to lead in this case. It's going to be the flute probably that leads. And then there's a little accompaniment by the sitar sometimes. The sitar player is your lookout. He's a younger boy, probably, again, 13, 14. Very nimble fingers. Sort of moves back and forth along the neck of the sitar, and it makes a strange but somewhat pleasing noise.
That's awesome. Quite young. I mean, 13, 14, that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty young person to be out here with the likes of us. I'll keep an eye on this young, promising musician. I think I'm gonna take note of him. Also, kind of keeping in mind that we were warned that he might be the most likely to be aware of what's going on. Also, that he seems to be figuring it out.
Yeah, it's not just that. Like your Toreador perceptions are super sharp, and so what you pick up on is that he is just really perceptive.
Mm-hmm.
He pays attention to a lot of things, and he plays a lot of the same game that you have seen played before at court, which is I'm young, people overlook me, and so I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to actively listen to everything around me.
Oh, that's one of my favorite games. I'm gonna like this kid.
Yeah, you might feel some sort of connection with him just based on the vibe he gives. If, Dark Ages vibes are a thing, which I frankly think they are.
Honestly, vibes are eternal. Vibes don't have an era specific.
Oh, I like that. Vibes have no era. It's great.
Yeah. So, Okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to enjoy keeping an eye out on this young man. All right, so yeah, I'm super happy to have a flautist and this young guitar player on board, and I will give them the show of their lives. Do you want me to actually roll for it? Or
Hello. Yeah, absolutely. I think rolling is great. That's a good channel quote. Vibes are eternal.
Um, that is only 5.
How dare you have a masterful work? So something unintentional happens, and I've experienced this personally, so I know how to explain this one. As a musician, sometimes you play with people who are just they're exponentially better than you are, and unwittingly, you play far over the proficiency level of both of these crew members. And after a while, the sitar goes quiet, the flute does not chime in as much or as often. And the reason why is because the harp captivates all of them in that way. It controls the space, it fills this area where there's tables and tankards and playing cards and dirty feet, soaked sailors. It warms everyone except for the woman who plays it. Because warmth is something that you're beyond at this point. But it does bring the tempo and oddly the heartbeat of the ship down. You're able to push them deeper into a peaceful state. A lot of these sailors eventually just fall asleep, like at their tables. Again, totally unintentionally.
I'm glad that I could do that for them, especially after such a rousing battle. Even if maybe I don't get the same joy or warmth or relief from playing that I used to.
Hmm.
Though that does mean I'll need to find a new way to feel what I can of those things.
Indeed. You will absolutely have to go out and search for those things, those differences, now that you are off on your own. And I think over the next several days, you get to experience different aspects of all the crew. Each night is filled with something a little bit different. Thea does eventually reappear, explaining that she'd always wanted to hunt for treasure in this specific spot because she'd heard hundreds of years ago there was this battle here at sea. And she does bring up what looks like a really ancient Greek helm. It's corroded and probably not worth an awful lot in its position, but this helm looks rather hilarious on her as she sort of tries it on. It's like a bucket. But each one of the crew have different things that they add in. You hear tales from Mateo, and the stories that Mateo tells are fascinating. So he tells a story about them on a chase through the Cyclades. So he says one evening he talks about a moonlit night off the Cyclades. They spotted a fat Venetian merchant cog. It was just laden with silks and spices they knew. And this ship was plodding through the Aegean. Etine, he motions to the navigator, managed to plot us a course to use the island's shadows that hid us from their lookouts. We struck near dawn, and we managed to catch them off guard enough to where we were able to take the ship and their crew with little use of weaponry. We would have taken the ship and perhaps split the crew, but a Genovese war galley appeared, and it ended up chasing us through the straits. And we were lucky to have Lucian, our sailmaker, were able to tighten up the sails enough to get us through and vanish into a squall. We got enough loot for wine and repairs in Crete, and we toasted to outwitting 2 republics in one night. You get a lot of tales like that. They've had an awful lot of adventures. You also learn something interesting, and that is that Dia hasn't always been the captain. That there was a former captain, and that they eventually disagreed about how they were going to portion the loot. And the crew backed her play to take the ship over.
Love a good mutiny.
But that's really what the voyage is about. You hear tales. You don't find any other ships out there to plunder after that first one. You get an opportunity to get used to being on the ship. Genevieve, you dive into the book. And I wonder if you try to meet the bishop in your dreams.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he kind of gave that to me as a mission and or a missive or an order, and I would definitely.
Okay. So I would like you to roll obtenebration and willpower. Difficulty 7, and you need 3 successes. And since it's a roll which involves willpower, you can't spend willpower on it.
I got 4 successes.
One of the nights before you make port at Alexandria, you dive into this tome, and you use it as a focusing device. Thank you, Mod. I appreciate that. And you find yourself in a space you don't normally find yourself in during the day. And that is seemingly awake. But you realize that everything around you is black and white. Color has been drained out of the universe. The other ghoulies are here, slumbering. You feel yourself wake, and you feel the sensation as if consciousness is at the periphery of your perceptions. And you feel this call, this voice beckoning you to the top deck.
I go up there. I almost feel like I'm floating, but not floating.
Yeah, there's an almost a disembodied feel to all of your movements. You don't feel your boots or shoes touch the deck. You move past and through the inner portions down here, up the stairs. You pass what feels like people, but they don't have any physical form. They're simply a collection of mist or opaque shape. When you exit out into what your mind for a moment believes must be sunlight, you realize that everything here is gray. The horizon is gray. There is a dim but white ball in the sky. The ship itself is dark, not black though. Black is reserved for the sea, and it is motionless. And at the bow of the boat, you see a form shrouded in darkness.
I go over to him and bow deeply. Sire.
His form here is far different. He's taller. He's draped in shadows that pull from the grains in the deck of the ship. The shadows, that darkness that would exist within the wood is drawn to him. He almost bleeds the darkness out of the wood itself to make his form. And he says, "My child, where are you going?"
We're about to make port in Alexandria.
Good. A good choice. There are many clan concerns in Egypt. You could prove quite useful there, quite powerful, if you are able to deal with the snakes of the desert.
What are your wishes, sire?
There is a legend that in the depths of Egypt there is a elder, one who slumbers, but that their body has been separated over time. Legend of Osiris. Are you familiar with this?
No. What? Maybe. Am I familiar?
You're not really sure.
Tell me, sire. Tell me everything.
He puts his hand on your shoulder. At first, it is gentle. And he says, there is an ancient and powerful entity in the desert. Many of us believed them to be a kindred given their age, but I do not believe they are one of us. I do not believe they descend from Cain. They are something else. You will go and locate them. You will bring me their head. The skull, it tells many tales. It can whisper powerful secrets. When you have this head, return it to me. Come to Italy. And he runs his forefinger across your shoulders up your collarbone until he just very gently props your chin up. And he says, I know I can count on you.
As you wish, sire. So it will be done.
Good. There will be challenges along the way, but oblivion awaits your call. The sun is a powerful entity in Egypt. Your clan gift will be quite useful here.
The shadows will keep me safe and guide me on this journey.
You will be protected, of course, and I will be watching. I have something of yours. It helps connect me with you.
That'll be in my pocket, doesn't he? I don't say anything. I don't ask him what he has.
He doesn't seem to offer an explanation.
I wouldn't think you would.
We are family. And as such, I must protect my interest in you.
Of course, sire. I will do anything you need,
I require the skull.
and you will have it.
Be wary, of course. There are members, the followers of Set. They are also after this skull. You may tangle with many vipers to acquire it.
I think between myself and my two friends, we will be able to handle some snakes.
Mm. Yes, Toreador, the Bruja. Use them to your advantage.
I will. They each come with their own set of gifts that are powerful.
Indeed. He looks you in the eyes, his dark, sort of pooling black circles. And he says, there is no room for failure in this clan.
And I will not fail you. Have I failed you yet?
You have not been tested like this. But I believed you were right for the embrace.
You have not chosen poorly.
He smiles. And then turns and walks into the blackness, which is the sea. He doesn't fall into the water accepts him. And you can tell that the water is almost like tar consistency. And that is where we're going to land our tale for the evening. And so I want to thank my amazing cast. I have been your storyteller this evening, Michael Diamond. I am going to remind chat, as I said I would, that we, as a show, are participating in a really cool thing called the Virtual 6 Miles in 6 Days for fighting to help end lupus. We've already raised some money. We'd love to have you as part of it. So even if you're watching this in the next day, next 2 days, etc., a week, whatever, challenge doesn't start until June. So the link will be in the comment description. You can jump on the team and help us fight for a cure. So I will let my amazing cast go through their postscript, and then we'll be out of here. We're going to find somebody to raid.
This is Morgan, and I've been playing Marie/Genevieve this evening. I'm an Old Ways podcast cast member. You can find me on the Discord, chatting about a variety of things. I'm also on a variety of the shows on the podcast, like Children of the Periphery, Adventures in Dragon Pass, which is our Rune Quest show. Obviously, the Vampire Dark Ages, and a bunch of other stuff. So come hang out on Discord, have a good time. I loved playing tonight. This was a great episode. Everybody was super awesome in chat, and I look forward to next time. Bye now.
Thanks all for watching. I'm Bunny. I'm your Toreador Emerenzia. And in addition to this and being in Mage and Silver Screens coming up soon, I'm really excited for. I know Mike and Rena have been announcing that and everything. You also can find me in the Discord. You can find me here on Twitch 4 or 5 days a week, depending on the week. I am doing a bunch of charity work also for the Lupus Foundation of America all month long, who I also moderate for. So if you have any questions about that for not just my campaign, but what the Old Ways team is up to next month, please feel free to ask. Don't hesitate. I have so many resources. Even if you just want to know, hey, what the heck is that? What are we fighting for knowledge and a cure for? I got you. But you can find me most places as Fiery Ashes, and I look forward to seeing you all around more.
Cool.
And I'm Allie, and I've been playing Ophelia. You can find me on the Discord. And I am happy to announce that OSEL is returning this next Tuesday.
It is.
So look forward to a volume of Secret Faces, the first
That's right.
episode.
You betcha. And so we are going to read out to friend of the show, Coco Confession. It looks like she's doing some gaming right now. And so we'll read out and just say hi to her. And we hope that y'all have an amazing rest of your evening and week. We'll see you back in 2 weeks, where we will get into Alexandria. So take care of yourself and each other. And I hope to see you very soon.